Hi, welcome. So today I'm going to be installing this in my Mini Cooper. So I have a 2016 Mini Cooper, John Cooper Works. The John Cooper Works portion doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter if it's an S, a base, a JCW, whatever. This steering wheel will fit the F55 and F56 Mini Coopers. So this I ordered from a seller on eBay. I'll post a link in the description. I have no affiliation whatsoever, but this is the second one that I've ordered from them, and both of them have been great quality. The first one came in right after the car got totaled, so I never actually got to install it. That one had orange. It was for my orange Mini. So this one that I ordered, you can pick, if you have a center line or don't, what color your center line is. In my case, I picked red. There's a couple different shades of red. You can pick your stitching, so you can see the stitching there is all red. And the stitching is done very well. It's really, really nice. It has a flat bottom, which is cool. I like that you can slide in and out of the car a little bit easier, and I wear pocket knives. Pocket knife doesn't catch the bottom when you're sliding across, which is nice, so you don't like tear up the leather. I did this perforated leather on the side, so you can see that there. It's got like this dimple, which is very Mercedes-Benz. Honestly, like all of my Mercedes have a steering wheel like this from the factory. BMWs tend to not. They usually use what they call Dynamica or Dynamica, which is their like suede. I'm not really crazy about suede on surfaces that I touch all the time, because the surfaces just get like, they grab the oils from your fingers and they get matted and whatever, and they just require a lot of cleaning and a lot of upkeep. And I personally don't think that it's the best material for a steering wheel. Although we've had cars before with them, and you can deal with it, it's just not great. So this is what it came with. There are buttons on here. I'll be removing these and putting the buttons that are in my car on here. And I'll be removing this centerpiece and putting mine that has the JCW on it. So the first thing that I'm gonna do is I'm going to take the steering wheel out of my car. I'll try to show that as best I can on camera. I've never done it before. And then I'm gonna be on the bench and we're going to swap the buttons and the harnesses and everything over. This came with buttons, but like this says limb instead of, I believe it's set on mine, because this is from a German or European Mini Cooper. So anyway, so I cheated and did a little bit of research on this prior to doing it. I just wanna know what I was in for. So in terms of tools, I've got my little 3/8 impact with a 16 millimeter on it. I'm gonna use that to take the nut out of the steering wheel that's in there. And I do have 2 of these Allen wrenches that are just, they're just regular Allen wrench, and we're going to use that to release the steering wheel. There's like clips that you have to release the airbag from the center of the wheel with. So it's probably best if I show it right here. If you look at the steering wheel, obviously this is how it's mounted in the car. On the back side, there's a hole here and a hole on both sides. And there's like clips that you have to release on both sides, and it pops the airbag forward, and then you have to push it up from the bottom, and it unsnaps from the bottom. So it like hooks on here, it hooks on here, and it hooks on here inside the steering wheel. So I've got 2 of these. This one's a 5 millimeter, and this one is a 3/16. They just happen to be close to the size of the hole. Really the thing is, you just want something that's not pointed, that's flat on the end. So the Allen wrenches tend to work well for that, from what I understand. All right, so here we are in the car. Again, these angles aren't the easiest to show, so I'm gonna do my very best here. So we've got this hole here in the back. Okay, so we press the bottom up and it kind of unpops, and then we're going to press the sides. So really you just need one of these. Bottom first, then one side, then the other. It's probably easier if you turn the wheel so that you've got a little bit of clearance. Like up top is hard to get it in there. There we are. That's been released. Okay, so the one thing that I forgot is the very first thing you want to do is disconnect the negative battery terminal. I'm going to do that right now. When you unplug an airbag in a BMW that is energized, it will throw a an airbag light that needs a tool to clear it. And while I can clear it with Bimmerlink, I don't want to. All right, so here we are under my hood. What we're gonna do is we're gonna remove this plastic cover. There's an 8, an 8, an 8, and 2 10s. Those need to be removed. And actually these ones don't need to be removed, they just need to be loosened up. So really, you only have to take that back piece off. You don't really need to take the front off. That can stay where it is because your negative battery terminal's right there. So we're gonna use a 10, we're gonna loosen that up. Okay, so that's now loose. We're going to lift the negative off. Okay, and then we're going to just take one of these rags and kind of shove it underneath here because I just want to make sure that it doesn't like make contact with the battery in any way. We're going to pop this off and we are going to release the clips. So there's like a little, this one has a little push button on it that we can just use our Allen to push. And then this one down here has no clip. It just pulls out. So our airbag is removed. Yours might not have a red emblem, yours might not have a black ring, but they're all the same. That's how they're removed. And you can see these are the 3 clips that we depressed. One here, one here. They just slide inward. And this is the first one that kind of just popped us up off of this piece. So next, what do we have left? There is another plug that is right here that plugs the buttons into the car. And there is another, there's a bolt here. So that is released. You just pull that one out. I would grab it by like this wrap so that you get multiple things, or try to hook something on this plastic, but it pulls right out. There's no clip or release on that one. Now, this here should be a 16. It is. So we're gonna just loosen this up. If you don't have an impact, you can use like a longer ratchet, but you're gonna have to hold the wheel while you do it. So what we wanna do is just kind of loosen this up a little bit, not all the way. And then we wanna pull on the steering wheel to loosen it up from the spline. This is just gonna keep it from flying off when you try to pull it. So just do a quick jerk. Okay, so mine's loose. Now we're gonna take this nut all the way out, or this bolt all the way out. Like I mentioned, it's a 16. Okay. Now, one thing that is important to note is there's like a centering line. So if you look here, you'll see that there's a center line on the bottom of the wheel and there's a center line on the spline to help you to line it up. So when those two are together, this mark is touching that line right there. So because of that, I don't have to worry about any sort of marking the orientation or whether I'm going to be off by a tooth or something like that, because like this can go on in different directions. There's plugs here, so it only has a little bit of adjustability, but that way you don't end up with like your steering wheels like this when you're driving down the street. So now we've got this, it's removed. And the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to go over to the bench and we're going to move all of these different things over to the other wheel. So here we can get kind of a good picture of the difference between the steering wheels. Obviously this one is shorter. It's got these rounded bumps where it gives you like a flat bottom appearance. The texture is way different, the centering marks, and then just you can see kind of the dinginess of this steering wheel. Now granted, it could probably be cleaned up quite a bit, but this has 50,000 miles on it and this one's brand new. So I'm just kind of looking at the back side, making sure that everything matches and the splines look the same and all of that stuff. And they do, which they should. So there's 2 T25s in the back of both wheels, so we're just going to remove these. All right, so we've got those removed. We've got these removed. So we'll flip the wheels over. And I don't care about these buttons, so I'm going to take these ones off first because the other ones I'm going to keep. So these should just pop up. And they do. So they just lift out. Do the same on this guy. Okay. Now I'm swapping these buttons for two reasons. Number one, these are the English versions of the buttons. Number two, I don't know if the wiring is any different. There are different colors in the harness. Or actually, no, there's not. They're the same colors. I just don't know if they're any different. So I don't want to take any chances. So I'm just going to swap all of that over. And mine have like this carbon fiber, but that's a cover. So technically that comes off. All right, so I've got these buttons removed. We're going to just leave them here. This bottom piece comes out as well. That just kind of pulls up. There's no screw in the bottom. Just like that. Okay. And then on the back, sorry, this plastic thing is just a cover. So this should just pop off. Just like that. Okay, and just like that, you see I snapped one of the little plastic pieces off. So that's why I'm doing the parts on the wheel that I don't care about first, so that I can learn those things. Little plastic piece off. We could glue this on if we had to. These are just like pressure fit inside this rubber. So let's do the same thing on this. Let's try not to break it this time. So we're just going to pop off this black plastic piece. Like that. Like that. Okay. And then we'll flip it over. This John Cooper Works should come up. Like that. And then these buttons should come out the same way. Ooh, well that's fun. I didn't expect that to happen. Okay, well, we will figure it out. So, the button actually separated here. Okay. We'll fix that and put it back together. And then over here, same deal. What I'm gonna do now is I want to remove all this stuff. So you'll see these rubber pieces, like they don't connect to the center. So we'll pop this off. Like that. So there are my two button pads. And then here in the center, there's like a standard little wire harness clip. That just unclips. And then this is like a little grounding wire. Teeth here that just go one way. So I'm just gonna bend those out a little bit to kind of release this wire. There we go. So this is off. Now, on this one, we will have the same thing. So I didn't realize this harness actually unplugs from the buttons. So that's cool. So you can actually just leave that harness in there and not take it out. Okay, So a lot of the stuff I'm just learning as I go. All right, so these are both not broken. So let's put them back together. All right, so I'm just gonna show you what this looks like in case it happens to you. So there are 4 buttons that go in these. There's like 2 that look like this, and they go kind of with a big slot down. And then there's 2 that look like this, and they have like a semicircle that goes towards the middle. And then you take the button pad and it like snaps in to the underside of here. Like that. You'll see. So I actually broke one of the clips on this though. So I think I'm gonna try to go back to these because these aren't broken. And I'm going to use, I'll end up with a button that says limit instead of one that says set. But I think that that's okay. And I'll just try to take off this carbon fiber coating, which maybe I should have done that in the first place instead of trying to swap the buttons over. I don't know. So we're just gonna work on this. And if you don't have one of these carbon fiber covers, then maybe it just all becomes moot to you and you just leave the buttons alone. So there's that. We'll do the same on this side. If you don't have one of these plastic pry bars, you should get one. But like a guitar pick could work. I've used a credit card before, a variety of different things. So we're just gonna work this adhesive off of here. Okay. So I did that one. We're just gonna do the same for the other one. Let's get all of the adhesive off. Let's put these buttons back in. So we're in that slot. We have to remember to connect this harness. It goes in like that. So maybe if you're doing this, you just leave the buttons alone. Just use the new ones that come with it. Don't worry about swapping yours over. The more I think about it, who really cares if it says LIM instead of set? I mean, if you had different buttons because you have like radar cruise or something like that, then so be it. But these should work just fine, hopefully. There we have our harness. Just want to make sure that it's like in this slot, in that slot, in this slot here, like it's where it should be. And then on the back side, it goes in these slots as well. I keep this 3M VHB tape handy, just in case I need it for things like this. So I'm just gonna slice it like that, make some smaller strips. This is the small tape already. It's like 1/2 inch, but it needs to be thinner for this. So we will install that like that. Just cut this off. Do the same on this side. Just get it started with the edge of your knife. Pull it off. Okay, so now we should be able to line this up like that. and reapply it. And there we are. So we'll do the same for the other side and come back. All right, so there we can see our buttons are now reinstalled, both sides. We're going to reinstall the John Cooper Works piece. You need to do this after the harness because these rubber flexible things aren't really flexible once this is snapped in. All right, so last, this plastic piece snaps on the back. Now I have two of these. This one has a little broken tab. This one doesn't have any broken tabs. So we're just gonna snap this one in. We got those, and those. And then we've got our two T20s. Now, our steering wheel's back together. We did end up with a surprising amount of carnage though. I've got a couple little tabs broken here and here on the switches from when they came apart. The switches do function properly. I pulled the harness off, which was probably unnecessary. And then one of the tabs and one of the back pieces broke. If I was doing this again right now, starting over, knowing what I know right this second, I would probably, instead of just pop the center out, put this new one back in and remove the carbon fiber and installed them and not mess with the buttons at all. So hindsight's 20/20, but there's some, hopefully that helps somebody out and keeps them from wrecking some of their own stuff. We're gonna align our steering wheel. Again, like I mentioned, there's a centering mark on the bottom of the wheel as well as on the hub. So it lines right up with these harness connectors as well. So that's another good point that you can use. But you could actually put it like one off. So it's pretty easy to get lined up though. So that's good. I was concerned about that. We're going to take our harness and we're going to tuck it up in here where it was. And then these are plugged in, that is plugged in. All that's left now is my airbag and my bolt. So we're going to take our 16mm bolt and we're going to tighten this up. And we'll grab our torque wrench, get this torqued. All right, so we've got that nice and tight. And now we can reinstall our airbag. So our airbag has two clips. One is the ground, we'll hook that up first, single wire. The second is this harness that has multi-pins. We'll hook that up second, just in case. And then we will snap this into place, keeping track of where all of our wires and things are and making sure we're not going to crush anything. So, should be able to snap it into place like that. I'm going to reconnect the battery and we'll test everything out and see how it works. All right, so I ran into a problem with my horn not working. So it appears as though the harness needs to be way up in the top here, like that. And this needs to go in because there's like a ground here that needs to hit this in order for the horn to work. It's interesting how that works. So once you move the wire harness out of the way, everything works. Switches all work, buttons work. These are complaining that I can't turn the cruise control on when the car isn't running, but anyway. All right, so the steering wheel is installed. So what did we learn? Number one, don't move your buttons. Just use the buttons that come with the wheel. Just don't. Number two, it's a really nice wheel. I think it came out really good. Super happy with it. Yeah, I think that it looks great in the car. The red is a perfect match for all of the stitching and the gauges and the other JCW stuff. So anyway, thank you for watching. Hopefully you'll have a great day.